we're gonna stick on the theme that we've started, and I'm gonna help pull that stick out of your ass.
Welcome to the Backyards of Key West podcast with your host, Mark Baratto. A show about local businesses, artists, musicians, and the stories behind them.
And so now I'm thinking that and God forbid anyone forgets what that podcast was about.
Yeah, I mean, that's trending. That's like that episode and then Joe Rogan right underneath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for those two people
right
that listen to your show that don't know what that podcast was about.
My wife even listened to that episode.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that
says a lot.
A lot. A lot.
I was thinking we'd probably just quickly go over what I'm doing. I assume is probably because that's how you always start your shows.
Yeah, anyways. I want to know where you're at.
Yeah.
It's almost like, cool, that was the origin story, the Gerke bitten by the radioactive spider, how he had his superpowers episode. And now we're like, you're more mature, definitely into your filming. And I kind of want to know a little bit more of where you see your projects going. Mm-hmm. And then also your broad journey and all of those things.
And we never talked about like, do we want to bring up why I'm in Key West? Because I know that's what you do with your people a lot of the times.
I think right now you're doing you're doing.
Well, I want to know what I'm expecting to have a conversation with you about.
We're just gonna have it.
Okay. See, I'm just way too formal.
We're gonna wait.
He's gonna break me.
Fantastic. We're gonna stick on the theme that we've started, and I'm gonna help pull that stick out of your ass.
Now that is the beginning of the video, or
yes, of the podcast, right?
Okay,
all right.
I'm just gonna step back.
I'm probably keeping most of this in. So everyone who's been hearing this banter, I'll get rid of the dead air because we can't have any of that. But the banter will be in there because it's always good.
Okay.
All right. So this is audio, everybody. Welcome to the world of audio. But Scott, as you know, does video, which you can't see now because I don't do video, but Scott does. And this will be airing on his channel. And why don't we start with that? Like, where can people watch this? Because people may want to shut this audio off right now and go right to the video.
They're going to be able to see your beautiful mug.
Right.
Because I know
right
everybody has been wanting that.
Yes, of course.
It's a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
You just look up Scott Gerke.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see my channel full of videos of people I once never knew that I do now because I've chosen to go out into the world to learn about others.
Right. So we had our first episode, which like people heard, peeling back the layers, kind of the groundwork, the ground floor of learning about you and how you got started with your project and the genesis really, because COVID helped propel that into a faster direction, right? Because your main work, which was paying your bills, was kind of shut down because weddings were shut down, DJing, all that, entertainment was shut down.
Yep.
And you went on that journey. And I just want to know, we're going to be going all over the place, but like, where are you at right now with your video, social media journey that you're in?
So to fill in to the audience who isn't familiar with the project, the series is called Once a Stranger, where I explore human connection through the power of a simple hello.
Yes.
So the idea is to go out and learn more about people who interest me, or who I think that others would find interest in, and better connect the world to the people who make it go around.
Yeah.
And so what happened during COVID when I lost all of my work, because I am a DJ by career, like that is my full-time gig. I host parties.
Entertainer.
Yeah, exactly. And when the virus came into our part of the town, I was told on March 17th, 2020. I remember that very well.
Yeah.
We won't be doing gigs for the foreseeable future.
Right.
Okay. Well, I have no idea what the foreseeable future looks like.
Yeah, and neither did they.
Anybody else.
Yeah.
And I was living in a house where I was paying like $2,800 a month.
Right. Which is now $5,800 a month.
Probably. And so I just knew that without any income, I didn't want to use my savings up. So I was just like, well, I'm not going to stay here anymore. I have no idea what's going to happen next. So let's go ahead and just try out this film series that I've been thinking about for 3-4 years. I'm going to build out my van. So I gave myself a 2-month notice. You were going to be out of your place within 2 months.
Right.
I moved 80% of my belongings outside of my life. I gave it away, sold it, whatever it was.
Smartest.
Within 1 month, 80% of my life was gone. DJ gear that I've held on for so long, records, turntables. I'm just like, no, it provides no value in my present life.
Do you miss it now?
No.
I'm exactly the same way. I got rid of so much stuff. There's maybe like a couple of things that I missed, but those are more personal things. Like, I didn't have a kid when I got rid of those things. Now that I do, maybe a couple of those things I would have hung on to, but like a handful of things, not a houseful.
Yeah. I mean, I kept all like the memory, like family stuff.
Yeah.
And, but the material goods that were not providing value at the present moment, out.
Right.
And so while I was doing that, I had a friend of mine. His name's Afro, who used to be a local artist in this town. Really big name from like the 60s, 74 years old. He built out my van while I was getting ready to leave town. And May 6th, I was out.
Wow.
I had the van all built out, ready to go. I had everything I needed. And the plan was to just go and figure it out.
Travel the country, meet strangers.
Yeah. And people were like, well, what a weird time to be going out and meeting people.
Did you think that people were like closing curtains when you would drive up?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I had no idea why I was doing what I was doing, other than by the time I got somewhere, things were going to maybe settle down a little bit.
Right.
I knew that I still wouldn't be throwing parties.
Yeah.
But I knew that I could at least get a little bit comfortable with the idea of just meeting up with one person at a distance, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so like there was a couple times where we were doing like things with the mask on. But the funny thing is, when I started making these videos, I landed in the middle of central Pennsylvania in Farmtown, USA, where COVID didn't exist,
right? Like
in their heads.
Yeah.
You know, and I was amongst the Amish community as well, and they didn't believe in COVID, really being a problem,
or vaccines or anything
vaccines
like
that. Yeah. So I was in the perfect spot at the time to start my series, where masks and COVID didn't really exist too much. And I don't, maybe that's at the risk of sounding irresponsible, but at the same time, it was just human connection still needed to exist.
Right. And you were outdoors.
And we were outdoors most of the time. And that's the whole part of this series too, was when I started it, I knew immediately that human connection was going to be lost.
Yeah.
And so if maybe I could reconnect a little bit for the time and give other people that maybe have like autoimmune diseases or absolutely cannot go outside.
Right. A lot of elderly people too, where they're very afraid, still are, about going out there and getting the virus because of respiratory reasons.
Correct. So then I was like, well, maybe I can just be a voice for them or an activity to watch, and so, something to give them something to do. But at the end of the day, it's always about building human connection and sharing that the power of a simple hello can give you this kind of knowledge.
Right.
And so now where I'm at, well, I'm still doing it as much as I can. It's not because I have my DJ business back. I'm able to actually make money instead of spend money.
Right.
And so then I'm just DJing during the weekends, weddings, and then filming every second I got. I'll tell you what, this is the absolute hardest form of art I have ever experienced in my life, is building a video and telling a story and drawing out emotions, or at least trying to draw out emotions, right? So your audience has no idea what's about to go on. You do, So you have to formulate that entire 5 hours of footage, maybe 100 hours of footage into a little piece that people can actually enjoy, and you can get your point across.
Right. And that then the second hardest thing is to get it out there so people can actually see it.
Okay, so should we talk a little bit about so for those of you who are not in the, we'll just use the social media world, who don't have to try to branch out into that world, the metrics of social media, like the numbers, the analytics, all that weird stuff, is so obnoxiously, what would be the right word, since you're on it too? Like the anxiety that social media creates or can create is unbelievable, because YouTube is telling me, or at least the algorithm is telling me, that I have to put out a video every single week or every other week to start to get noticed.
Right. They're rewarding you for feeding the machine.
Correct.
The machine is, we want as much content as possible because they stay a leader in their industry by having more content than the other. So on a video side, you look at it like a Netflix or a Disney Plus. If they're coming out with brand new content week after week, people will stay and they won't leave, and more people will sign up and pay them. Same thing with YouTube. People will come, they'll watch more stuff, they'll stay on the platform, they'll sell more ads. That's what they want. So they reward you for that.
Yeah. So, and I'm like their mobile advertising opportunity.
Right. Right. I mean, the other way you can game the system is you pay them. And the way that you do that is you run ads.
You run
yourself.
ads. Exactly.
Then they're like, cool, we like you.
Yeah. The series, I think, is doing really well. Like, there's times where I'm a little bit too obsessed with the numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, all right, well, I've spent all this time. Like, I was in Belize and I did a video about the bird poachers and how there's a group of people who are saving this this nearly extinct parrot from, or they're saving this parrot from going extinct. It's really incredible work they're doing. And so I spent like all week building this video, getting as much information as I could. I was just so stoked. I'm like, oh, this is going to be the video that people are going to start to notice what I'm doing. And then it's whatever. It's doing okay. But the point is, at the end of the day, you put in so much work into what you're doing that you cannot let that stuff bother you. You absolutely, without a doubt, anybody who's into this kind of stuff, trying to get into the creator form, you have to absolutely love what you do. Yeah. I'm sure you hear that all the time, but it's good because you got to.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, like especially when everything's it's a negative dollar amount, because
it is. I spent money
and time and time. Right. You could be doing a gig right now instead of recording.
Yeah.
So that's where you're losing in a way.
But it's just like the ability. Like, I never had any idea how much opportunity would be presented to me with a camera in my hand. Like getting into people's homes and just sitting down and having a conversation with me, or going backstage. Like, I was invited. I did this one video. I decided to create my buddy, who's a really famous dairy farmer in the middle of central Pennsylvania. Like, we're talking, he's trying to change the dairy industry, right? Politically, all this kind of stuff. And so I decided to make him into a cardboard cutout, a life-size cutout. And I put him on a wagon, and I went through this county fair where everybody knows who Nelson Troutman is. Yeah. And I just asked people to lasso him for prizes. Right. And my prizes were, hey, can you give away one of those ice cream cones if I stand in front and, create some chaos? And everybody was giving me free stuff. It was fantastic. But what happened was, they asked me to go onto the main stage in front of a couple thousand people to explain why I'm here.
And how was that?
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But the guy was so let's call him the manager of the fair. He was so intrigued by this dude. And I think I might have been, I don't know what I was wearing, but I definitely wasn't like, cowboy boots and flannel shirt.
Right. You're like Key West outfit.
But it's just so, it's Lebanon County Fair. in the middle of dairy farm, Pennsylvania. It's just like, they see me doing this stuff. He's just so interested. And so he's like, why don't you just explain to everybody what you're doing on stage? And me being a DJ who's
right.
a
You're
master
used to
of
talking
ceremonies,
to a lot of people.
It went fantastic. Like I had the stage for too long. I wanted the stage for too long.
Yeah.
And I remember I like was able to just like hone in on a couple people. I was really nervous at first because I had really haven't given my pitch to people at that moment, because the opportunity never presented itself. So I thought about what I was going to say, and I just delivered what came to my heart, and I pointed some people out in the stage, and I was just real with them. And it went over really well. And then I started telling stories, and then the guy started to boot me off.
Right. He's like, okay, buddy, that big hanger came out. He pulled you right up stage.
But it's like that. And then I was on a lobster boat learning about how these Florida lobstermen spend their day catching and selling their lobster. Like, who gets to do that kind of stuff?
Right.
It's really cool. And I'm very grateful that my drive, I guess, to tell a story still exists, because I'm like thousands and thousands of hours into this.
Yeah.
And I'm not making any money from it. My DJ business is taking care of it.
What you're doing, because your future self will love all this work you're doing, because you're putting in reps.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
You are running the marathon step by step.
Yep.
Preparing for an Ironman that is your future, that you don't know what it's going to be or how it's going to be. You just know that you need to do it. You love doing it. And a thing that has come to me more and more, which I think is a little bit of the secret sauce here, is there's got to be times where you don't like it. It must, in order for you to continue on a journey where there is struggle, there must be times where you say, oh, I don't want to record today.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Or maybe we skip the video or whatever. You have to have that, because that keeps that uncertainty in life, keeps it spicy.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with video too is there's so many different formats. Like you can do man on the street, you can do a day in the life, you can documentary stuff, you can be funny. You have so many different options. But YouTube again and all these other different channels, they tell you that you have to keep your brand because otherwise you're going to lose your people. And whatever, I'm still figuring out who I am, and I would like that to be a conversation we have a little bit later.
Yeah,
because I think that you do provide value to those who sit in this chair to talk with you.
I think the man on the street.
Yeah, but that's not really my thing.
No,
it's fun.
I think you doing what you love to do. Insert person. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
that is your brand. You are your brand. I mean, if you are hosting a television show and you're on a table with the suit on talking to somebody, yeah, maybe the suit and the backdrop and the setup, that's a brand.
Yeah.
But you as a person and your style of interviewing, your thirst for wanting to know more about that person, what makes them tick, that's you. That is a brand. So I think you can go way off topic as long as it is you being curious.
See, and one thing, so I was getting pretty deep into like documentary filmmaking.
Yeah.
And I started studying it and all this kind of stuff. And I started to decide to remove myself from in front of the camera, and because I wanted the subject to be the focal point the entire time. I didn't want to take anything away. And I enjoyed being like the fly on the wall. Have you ever seen Cuba and the Cameraman?
Yeah, I did. So
that was a huge inspiration for me.
Yeah.
And he is hardly in any of the video, but that he's the video camera is a character.
Right. But there's narration too.
Correct.
And the narration is you.
Oh, it would be. Yeah, it is me. So
that's what I mean. So it's like you don't have to be in front of it. Just like me with audio. Nobody's seeing me. but it's still the same thing.
The voice, and they recognize it. So documentary film work. Yeah. So I filmed Will Soto, who is he helped create the world famous Mallory Square Sunset Celebration. And, I found him so interesting because he's 75 years old, who still gets up on a tightrope and juggles knives and all that kind of stuff. And he does it 4 or 5, sometimes 6, who knows how many days a week this guy does it. But I ended up spending almost 3 months with him.
Yeah.
To put out a 15-minute video.
Right.
Because I was so interested in now becoming a documentarian filmmaker. And that requires continuity.
Right.
And so what I was doing was I'd go to his house and I'd film everything about his house, like, the little quirks and the magnets on the fridge. And then I'd have a quick little conversation, never a sit down conversation, or not usually, but I needed his conversation to match what I saw, and I didn't really place things in the video to get what I wanted. I just maybe needed to go back.
Yeah.
But then when it came to the performance, street performers are incredibly unpredictable, and you never know what the audience is going to do. And so every time we would have a conversation and I knew what I wanted from him on his tightrope, I wasn't getting it because what I wanted and what I wanted to show on video wasn't what I'm seeing in real life. But I know it's going to happen at the next go around.
Right.
So then I keep doing that over and over again. I ended up recording his performance probably 25 times.
That's 25 days.
Yeah. And then through editing and putting in the right music and making sure the continuity, if he had said something like to me personally, I want to make sure that now that I'm showing his tightrope walking, I want that conversation to match the part of his show.
And how did you learn all about that? Was it from trial and error?
How to film like that?
Yeah.
Lots of videos,
right.
I just spent a lot of time on YouTube typing in how to film documentaries. Or maybe just because I just really, really enjoy watching them.
Right.
And this isn't like a talking head one where you just sit down, learn about the person, and then shoot a bunch of stuff that's called B-roll, which is like on top of the narrative. I just figured it out. I just have this drive that I want to make sure that what I'm presenting to the audience is what I want to be proud of. Are
you proud of it?
Oh, I'm very proud of it.
Yeah. So now that it's done, like before you put it out into the ether, you watch it and we're like, oh, this is something that I'd want to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely go back and
that's
some things.
Let me tell you,
that's
every artist. But
I was proud of it. Like I thought that it told his story properly. It talked about the good old days, which I really enjoyed him being able to tell me about. It brought back photos from Key West in the 70s. It properly acknowledged and showed appreciation for a part of Key West that brought me here. So like Mallory Square is like my second home because that is, to me, those are my people.
Yeah.
Those, a little bit quirky outside thinkers who don't follow the leader. Those are my kind of people. They're still making life happen, but they're making it on their terms.
Yeah, they're living by their rules.
And I wanted to show them my appreciation. And I told all the street performers that. I was like, you're going to see me here for a while, and I'm sorry. Let's have a conversation, whatever. But I want you to know that I'm doing this because I appreciate you, and I want you to be proud of it.
Yeah.
And I want my people who I'm filming to also be proud of it too. I always let them vet the conversation and see, are you okay with this?
Did he like it?
Yeah. I wanted to put in parts of the video where the audience doesn't really react properly or might be kind of rude, and he might have to snap back at people.
Yeah.
And so I had that perfect moment in the video, and he's like, can you take that out?
Yeah.
And so I did.
Right.
So you won't see that anybody.
You did it for him. But it was the reality of what he's got to deal with on a day-to-day, what a street performer deals with.
Yeah, it's these people's lives, and once the video goes out to the public, now there's a responsibility that you have as filmmaker not to mess their life up. Right. Even if I'm still a pretty small channel.
Yeah.
But if that one person sees it and, let's say that it just makes them look bad.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
That happens a lot. It happens a lot in videos, actually. People's street addresses. You get shown up in a video, and now those people know where they live, and you have to be really, really careful with that stuff.
Yeah, license plates or something.
No, license plates, whatever. Not that big of a deal.
You don't have to blank them out.
No.
Yeah, I'm lucky. See, I don't have to deal with any of that.
Yeah.
I just have to deal with every once in a while. Someone at the end will be like, "Remember that time that I referred to my employees as dogs, but didn't mean to do it in a bad way?" You got to take that out because there's a 50% chance it's going to come out wrong, which I'm happy to do too. I'm like you. I'm doing this for the betterment of the person I'm interviewing and the listener, not really me. Yep. So someone wants to remove something or edit or can the whole episode. I'm always fine with doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's what takes time too. So YouTube is like, oh, you got to do this certain, screw that. I can't. Right. It's just, honestly, YouTube is just an advertising platform for me.
Right.
Would it become something where I can do this full time because my channel is growing well enough? I don't care. But if some filmmaker calls me up and says, "I like what you're doing, can you come on board and help me out?"
Right. I think this is more of the resume for you doing it for that, because even with AdSense and getting money through views on YouTube is really, it's not that much, because by the time it gets to a point where you're making enough income from ads that are running on YouTube, you're going to need a staff. And then all of that money gets poured back into your staff. So
people don't realize that these bigger channels have like 5 or at least another person doing all other stuff. But at the end of the day, I think what's so cool, regardless of all the numbers, the metrics, whatever, I'm so grateful that I have a full-time job that I absolutely love, that helps pay the bills for a different creative outlet. That gives me so much time to be able to film.
Right.
So I'm cool with knowing that this is what happens in the day in the life of a lobster fisherman. And now I can go to the bar and strike up a conversation with somebody who said something about lobster, and I'm just going to open the book and tell them everything about commercial fishing.
Right.
To me, it's just so cool to learn more about everybody in our existence.
Yeah.
That being more compassionate and showing more empathy, and that's like the purpose of life here, I think, is to leave a mark on other people and to leave it better than how you found it.
And what's cool too is both jobs fit hand in hand because you're both an entertainer.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like you're, pushing paper in behind a desk like at a DMV or something, or some place where you're not even communicating with people. And then this is your stretch of communication, and that is not. I know a lot of people that do that, and that's their balancing act. Mm-hmm. But you're out entertaining and being vocal and being friendly and pumping people up and getting the party started in one side. And then over here, you're doing that in a different way, but in the same way.
Exactly. And I also express to people, they're always like, so I used to have a full moon party on the beach. Mm-hmm. And, that was supposed to be my...
Right, that was your thing.
That was everything, my entire... Which was mentioned in the other podcast. That was my...
Yeah, your
my
heart
soul.
got broken when that...
Correct. My heart was completely broken. But prior to starting the full moon parties and then doing the outdoor movies at one of our local parks, all of that was the same thing as who I'm... what I'm doing now in film. So it's like... It's creating connections.
Yeah.
That's at the basis of anything I do. It's always to create a connection. So now that I'm not doing the movies or the full moon party, and just strictly doing the private event scene, my connections are still communicated through film. And now what I want to do is take what I had before with the full moon parties and and turn it into a video series in a different way. Tell me what you think about this.
Okay,
one.
bring it on.
So this would require some production, but I still think it's possible at some point. You show up to a town. Maybe nobody really knows too much about the town, but it's very close to a big town. So let's just say whatever's close to Miami. You connect with the people. You film a story about the individuals in that town who helped make it what it is.
Right.
And then what you do is you pull all those people, let's call them like the mayors of the town, and you pull all those people together and tell them that we're going to throw a celebration. We're going to celebrate your town. And I need you to bring, okay, so let's say that it's during corn season, so bring all your corn.
Right.
Let's have a corn eating contest. Oh, there's an accordion player that everyone loves in town. All right, the accordion player is coming. All these different cute little things that make the town what it is, bring them together, town square or whatever it is, doesn't matter. We're going to throw a party, and it's going to be a celebration of us. And so the beginning of the video would be about learning about all the different people in this town. And then the end of the video would be us celebrating that community together.
That's like a Hallmark movie right there.
It is like a Hallmark
It is exactly,
movie,
that is the exact, I think Hallmark should be hiring you to film.
But it's essentially what the Full Moon Party here in Key West was about. Was the taglines were celebration of us, show up and show off. So just you be your best self and just, show up and have a good time. Like at the end of the day, it's about building the friendship, building the community.
But I like how you have it, the warm up to it, which is educating people on all these different things. Cause if not, and people just show up to this party and there's this accordion guy playing, they're like, why is he playing? But like if people are watching, right? If they just saw the party part.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know the pre-story behind. Oh, I know. That's Joe. He delivers babies on Sundays and he plays accordion too, right? Like those are that whole warm up to the actual finale of the little series or the episode you're doing. I love that.
Yeah. So I that's like a thought in my head. It's very, very hard. Incredibly. I think that's a very difficult series to pull off.
Yeah, you're going to have to do stuff like, hey, Mayor Phil, would you like a Coke? A lot of product placement maybe to pay for advertising.
Well, just having people on board, like for me, just to give people an understanding of what it takes to plan these videos, I will set out emails, like a blast of emails, and then I'll maybe follow up every week or two, whatever it takes. And then finally, like somebody will come back and we'll be able to nail down a time to do this.
Yeah.
I had an idea to do all commercial fishing for like the next 6 months. But then my schedule didn't work with others, or maybe the weather didn't work. Then the boat broke down. Now the season ended.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Now I got to wait till literally there is a type of fishing. It's called, gill netting, and there's only a couple licenses in the Florida Keys, like maybe 2, 3. It's how we get our massive amount of kingfish. Do you know about this?
No.
Okay, so what they do is they take a really, really long net and they make a circle around a school of kingfish, and then they spook them. And when they spook them, the nets, they get caught in the nets, and then they get reeled up. It sounds pretty harsh, I get it, but it's just how it works. And that's how we get a lot of our kingfish, is through gill netting.
Wow.
And we're talking 20,000 pounds, 30,000 pounds, I think, something like that.
Wow.
Like a massive amount of fish. That's only 2 days in the year.
2 days out of the year?
Yeah.
They do this?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's a lot of nets.
No, it's just one massive catch.
So it's just
like 7 other boats that will catch.
Wow.
And
I mean, when you were saying how much, I thought that was like over this whole season of this 6 months or whatever.
No, it's just a couple days. Now, commercial fishermen who are listening who say that I'm incorrect, I could be a couple days off, or maybe the season is only a week or something like that. But let's just say that it only takes them 2 days to make this happen.
Right. But what happens if they don't?
Then
there's no kingfish at all.
Well, this is when I don't want to get I don't want to fill in with too many things that I do not confidently know.
Yeah, this is your career. You don't have to know. The answer could be that I don't know. It's never happened, luckily.
The guys that I was talking to, it was a 2-day thing.
Right.
And so, going back to the scheduling, it's just like, it's so hard as one person.
Yeah.
So if I had it my way, which, sometimes I get it right, I'm up at 8 a.m. or I'm at my computer at 8 a.m. till noon, responding to all my wedding clients or whatever private events clients there are. And then from noon to 8 p.m., I'm filming or I'm editing, reaching out. And then 8 p.m., I'll reach out to the wedding couples because a lot of them are actually from different parts of it depends on the year.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're behind a little bit. And so I'll either email or call them back, and then I'll have dinner and go to bed. And
then some of those other days you're up late because you're working on the wedding.
Yeah. Or what I hope to be doing soon is being on a shrimp boat, and I'll be out to sea for 12 days and nobody's going to be able to get hold of me for anything.
And you could do weddings on the shrimp boat. That's part of your package, the wedding shrimp boat package.
It's been such an incredible ride. Like I'm really having a lot of fun with it.
Tell me what you do for yourself when you've had it up to here because you feel that from a metric standpoint, you're not where you should be. Which metrics for people out there is the views, the shares, the likes, going viral, all those kind of things that whatever.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah. Right.
If you look at the percentage,
right.
What am I doing for myself to keep my spirit up?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for those of you who do not know or have not listened to the last podcast, I try to be very mentally aware and try to keep myself in check. So what happens when you do not keep yourself in check on a social media platform? You become very depressed in yourself. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of anxieties that go on, and it's really real stuff.
Yeah.
There's a guy that I've been watching for a long time who actually put a video out saying that I've been gone because I actually felt like killing myself. I was like, I get goosebumps because it's so real. You have a conversation about all this kind of stuff, and it's just because, and I'm not saying this for everybody. I'm just generalizing the fact that it can become so hard for people to get away from the numbers. There's even conversations that we should remove the numbers so that people don't.
Some countries they
crazy.
have. Some countries they have.
So what I do for myself is I do what I do on film, except without the camera. I just go out and I reach out to the people who, like the local fishermen. I love hanging out with the commercial fishermen. So I'll just go to their boat and say, "What's up?"
Yeah.
And
you'll connect yourself to other people.
Because at the end of the day, what we were saying before is that you need human connection.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't really think that I get down on myself too much. I will say that the anxieties from building videos so often does creep up.
Yeah. The thing is, too, not to interrupt, but I asked that also because there's a lot of young people that will take down videos. They'll do a lot of creating, whether it's on a YouTube or shorter form, on Instagram or on TikTok or wherever they're doing it. And they're constantly looking and only doing stuff for the vanity metrics, only for that. And that is a hard thing to navigate because there's not a lot of teachers for young kids on how to deal with that, right? Because us as parents, we didn't have cell phones. They weren't even there. So my age group is that generation where we didn't grow up with it. We had to transition into it. Yeah. And it's hard to educate. Like I know how to educate my kid, but there's a lot that don't know how to educate on what to do, how to deal with it, and how not to be so down on yourself thinking that my value is based on what other people say, the comments, the shares, the likes, not on the quality of the work that I put in.
Yeah, I don't think that is a long-term solution to happiness.
Right.
Is to make sure that your metrics or that you're following whatever gets you all the likes. But it's a problem that people are having a hard time what am I looking for? they can't control it.
Yeah.
Nobody can control it. And it's getting really scary.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want my series to also show is, I don't want it to sound like I'm this guy who I don't like the word influencer. I'd rather lead by example. I think that's, I don't know if that's one and the same in some form.
It just said a different way. I think I like that way better too.
I think influencer maybe is not true to yourself all the time. I think influencer is going to be given a product or some kind of placement. They're going to be placed somewhere and then they're going to perform.
Yeah.
Right. So that's, and I don't think an influencer is always a negative term, but I think it can be misconstrued and it can be a dangerous kind of situation where you'll start to lose yourself.
Yeah, it's ethical
because you're doing it for maybe doing it more for the cash than your heart.
Of course. There's a book by Robert Cialdini put out this book called Influence on these 6 persuasions that get people to do what they want to do, and he's a psychologist. He's still practicing psychologist in Arizona, and he's a doctor, and these are the things that he wrote in this book, which went viral at the time. And he's made a number of other books and edits to those books and audiobooks and stuff like that. But his whole thing is always about the ethics of the persuasion. That these are human traits that human beings have in our DNA. But learning these skills to influence people in a positive way is the appropriate thing to do. And of course, there's millions of disclaimers, every other paragraph in this book saying that, because so many, you don't want it to be like, oh, I'm going to influence this person to give me money or give me a job or get this woman or guy because I'm acting a certain way. It's more like, hey, how can I help better my community or better somebody's life by using any type of influence that maybe I have right now? So it depends how the word influencer is delivered. But nowadays, influencer is about how do I get more cash and do these things that I love to do, but maybe I'm sidestepping my own morals to get it, right? Which is what we're trying to avoid.
Which I think like it's already become kind of a saturated market.
Yeah.
So that I think that wave is already starting to move away. Like I really believe a lot of the people that I watch, they're very aware of how sensitive we are to marketing these days. And nobody wants to be, everybody knows if you're trying to push something that you don't believe in.
Of course.
It's kind of silly, but
our BS detectors, I mean, look, it's almost like 10 years ago, I think the numbers were, it's 6 or 7 or 8 times more ads you need to see before you'll remember it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
because before we had radio only. Then you had the television. And when the television came out, all the commercials were people sitting at a microphone like this with their legs crossed, reading from a script, because that's how it was on radio. And they didn't understand how to translate it. Then it went to video, and there were 3 channels, right? ABC, NBC, CBS. And that was it. Commercials back then also had to have more entertainment behind them. The commercials of then, when the TV first came out, were actually entertaining. Now it's more, oh my God, I have to hit you at 25 touch points before you remember it. I feel, from my experience now with marketing, is being more genuine and expecting nothing in return, which is the opposite of what advertising is, gets whatever you want to sell sold.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it in a way where this is what I love. This is something I believe in. This is something I'm really using and really doing. You're going to see me in the wild with it. That's real influence.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Because at the end of the day, and this is what the street performers were telling me, is, Will was telling me, because some days it just pains my heart. It was because I spent so much time with this guy. I just felt like he was another family member.
Yeah.
Like we were really close.
Right.
And it just pains me to watch people walk away and not give him any money.
Yeah.
We don't know why they can't. Who knows? It doesn't matter. The fact that people just walk away without exchanging cash for the appreciation. So I go up to him and I say, I got to say, it's really bothering me. Does it bother you that you don't get, that so many people are walking away? He's like, dude, if anybody did this for cash, they would never make it as far as I have.
Right.
It said, you do the best you can because you love it. People are going to see that. Do mention cash, because some people don't know that this is how you make your living. Explain that to them in a very nice, funny, entertaining way. And then you move on.
Yeah.
And then you charm the audience with what you're good at, because they will be able to recognize you looking for cash immediately.
Right.
And not be interested in it. So I think the long-term game is just appreciate what you do. And, it's funny when you're saying about our BS radar, our human behaviors, like at the end of the day, we're all primates, and we all understand each other from a basic human level, right? So pretty soon it's just going to be like an evolution of you're trying to manipulate the person's behavior into buying this, but then eventually the generations are going to know that, hey, that doesn't work anymore.
Right.
You're going to move on. I had a better thought about that one.
No, but I feel that so much as a consumer that is on all the social medias just to educate myself on it all the time. I'm so tired of seeing and hearing the ads and the commercials, and they're just, they're just not genuine. You just know that it's like, oh, I got to read this thing for my podcast because I'm going to get paid, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to do this one thing because it's going to help me pay the bills for this thing that I'm doing. And I get it. It's like you're being pulled in both directions, because if you can do what you love to do, which is this, right? Interview people, go out, do documentaries, all these things, but someone has to pay you. It's like, what are your choices? You can have a boss that maybe has his thumb on you the whole time and is an asshole and is not nice and all these different things, and says, that thing you're doing, do it my way. Or you got to sell Pepsi every once in a while, right? So it's like, this is the life of a creator, is juggling that, which is worse. Which is worse? That boss, which I hate, which makes my life miserable and makes me want to quit, or peddling like Monster Energy drink that maybe I don't drink or like, and that's the hard part for this new career that so many people have and almost every young person wants. Like, you talk to
every young kid wants to be a YouTuber
to 15
which
years
is okay.
old. That's all they want to do.
That's totally okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people are upset that they don't want it. They don't want to be an astronaut anymore. Yeah, but not every kid thinks that they're actually going to. They may think it, but what I'm getting at is not everyone became an astronaut, but they still said it just because it's like the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Now they all see the YouTube stuff. But
let me jump in. What I think though, which is cool, and this is what needs to be addressed for the younger generation, which I'm preaching this is what I say to my son all the time, because he's like, I want to do YouTube. I'm like, awesome. You got to put in a lot of work, like what you're doing. Got to do the reps.
Yeah, just be real.
Got to put in the reps, right? Do these things that you want. Don't do it for vanity, especially at this age. Geez, you really don't need to do it for that. I'm paying your bills. And make sure that the things that you're doing within that realm are something that you really love. You're not doing it because, I'm going to stream on Twitch and play video games when I really don't want to, but I can go viral with that, or I can get paid for that, or do this or that. Do something that you really love to do. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about the metrics behind it, because it's not that, it's you. That's why playing sports, whether it's a one-on-one sport, whether it's you-on-you sport like martial arts or something like that, all of those things are super important, because it teaches you the work. The win I get comes from the work I put in. Mm-hmm. And you need to take that feeling that you have of failure and pain in some type of outdoor activity, some type of physical activity, and then translate it into the online social media world that you want to be in. Yeah. And that to me is a lesson to learn to keep that balance.
Well, what happens is that nobody really talks about what it took to create the end result.
Oh yeah.
Which is part of the movie magic.
Yeah.
You don't want to, sometimes it's fun not letting people know that this is what you had to do to get a certain shot.
Yeah. Well, the best thing to do is like when I wanted to get in the movie business when I was younger, I always wanted to be behind the scenes, like production. Like I took all these Avid courses and I'm like, I'm going to be the guy that at the end makes the movie happen. And I'm like, but I want to learn about the business. So let me do a bunch of extra work. I did so much extra work and I didn't want to be part of the business at all. Not because of the way people were being treated, but because like we spent 12 hours on one scene that when you watch the final product is literally 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like, and then it's funny because I'm with my kid and we're watching a movie because we're movie buffs. I love going to the movies probably because of that. And I'll see a scene like there was, Justice League, right? With all the DC guys, the comic book guys like Superman, all them. Then there was a new version of that Justice League that came out, the Snyder edition, which was like 6 hours. And it was like the original director came back and is like, we're going to produce this movie the way I wanted it to be with all these other scenes. Well, one of the scenes in there is with like the Flash and he like saves this girl who in the comic book becomes like his future wife and all that. But that's the only scene that woman's in. And it's a big scene. I mean, this is a big scene if you're trying to get into the movie business. But that got cut from the real movie. So I'm like sitting there like, imagine you're that woman. You're that woman and you've been going 10 years in the business and you're like, all right, everybody, I finally got it. I'm in the Justice League. I mean, I'm with the Flash. He saves me. He kisses me. I am it. This is it. And then they cut that scene. And there's no, I mean, this was a 20-minute scene. It wasn't like a 1-minute scene. That means it was probably like 2 weeks worth of filming to get that scene and cut. And that is like, it's a hard business and is many hours to get the littlest piece of information. And guess what? In the end, in post-production is when the rubber hits the road because the director may be like, awesome, we got 3 hours of beauty. And the post people are like, it's going down to 2 hours. We're chopping an hour out of somewhere.
Oh, I mean, my tightrope walker, the Will Soto video, I had probably 300 hours. Yeah. And I turned it into, well, maybe not 300. I don't know. I'm just
say 100 hours.
No, way more than 100
right,
hours.
Okay.
100's easy. That's
between 100 and 300.
That's just another day for me. 100 hours of footage. But I turned it into a 15-minute episode. Right. Like, and I could have made it way longer, but you do what you call trimming the fat.
Yeah.
You know, keep it interesting. And you know, I think I wish I would have given that more time, but.
Did you trim it down to 15 because 15 was a number you had in your head from the beginning, or that was just what the finished product got to?
To be honest with you, what I'm dealing with a lot is my own anxieties of how long I'm able to keep people's attention. And that actually turned out to be one of the best audience retention rates that I've gotten, it was about 50%.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good for me.
Right. There's so many little tools, though, that you can use in your favor for that. It's almost like when you watch a trailer of a movie, you're like, oh, boy, this is awesome. I can't wait. Like, I remember when I was younger, when you would go on Apple's website, they had all the trailers. That was like the best place to watch trailers. And I'd be like gearing up for movies because the trailers are so good. So it's like, if you're putting together these movies and doing all these things, it's almost like you can take 5 minutes here, 2 minutes there, and put it on TikTok throughout the day, throughout the whole month. Mm-hmm. You can put little pieces of that story that are like, not to give you more work, but like a 1 minute could be a little highlight reel, and it's all pushing the net towards YouTube. Like you can use those platforms that have more attention than videos to help push toward your main channel. But it's just, again, it's
more work.
It doesn't have to be perfect. You can take like a clip of us talking like this part right here of us talking and put this right on TikTok and say, hey, go and watch the rest of this, like cliffhanger it, go watch the rest of this on your channel.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always some days I just want to go fishing.
That's the part that I talked to you about earlier is what you just said is a necessity for somebody that loves what they do. And I don't think people who found what they love what they do think that is a necessity, but it is. Because if every day you love this so much, you'd be bored.
Yeah.
You need to have time. Like this, I found out when I got older, is it when I would be like, I need a day to sit on the couch all day and do nothing. I've maybe had 10 of those like my whole life. Like it's hard for me to sit still. But when I do that, all the air empties from my head, everything oozes out, and it just is like a cleansing. It's like a full mental cleanse for me to do that.
Yeah.
And it's important to be like, oh my God, I don't want to do this today. Look, everybody does. You really think like Aerosmith wants to get up and sing like that song, Dude Looks Like a Lady, one more time? I'm sure he does, but like, I'm sure he's like, oh my God. Okay. And he's not doing any more drugs. So he's like, I got to do this sober. Damn it. Or the Rolling Stones. Like how many times is that guy going to sing that song?
Yep.
You know, but that's part of it. The part of it is going, I don't want to do this today. I'm going to do it, to push through, feel the joy of doing that, and then moving on. So people that are like thinking that passion comes from a lightning bolt, or it just doesn't. Like on one of my last podcasts, I said this, so I'll repeat myself, was sometimes your passion comes from being really good at something and not naturally really good at it. It becomes your passion because you put so much work into it. You are now so good at it, it becomes your passion. So you may find your passion at 50.
Yeah.
You know, I found art in my late 40s.
Yeah, how cool is this?
Yeah, late 40s, everybody.
Yeah, this place is fantastic. It looks great.
Yeah.
It's fun. What was I trying to get?
I don't know, but I just wanted to...
I was just looking at everything.
I wanted to have myself had dead air for a minute. It doesn't feel good. All right, so listen. What I want to know is, where are you going now? What is the evolution step?
So I think
you just filled in the meat. The first episode was the bread.
Yeah.
Now we're at the meat.
So let's see. Where do I see myself? Well,
you're not living in the van anymore, right? You have the apartment.
Yeah. So I moved back into Key West like October 2020. So I left in July, came back in October. I didn't leave for very long.
Right. You left long enough, though.
I'll tell you what. Living in a van, there's so many different things that we could talk about with all this stuff that could just be like hours.
Yeah.
Well, it's just living in a van with no intentions of figuring out, like, with not knowing what's going to happen in your life is, I think I told you this. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, how I had a panic attack in the middle of Maine.
Yeah.
Because I had no direction, or my series wasn't doing very well. I'm like, why do I care so much about what other people are saying? Like,
what am I doing here in Maine in a van?
So once the panic attack kind of took over, and I was able to drive, like a couple days later, which was really nice.
Yeah.
I ended up anyways, I started to trickle my way down, and then I made it down to Key West, stayed with my family for 2 months. Okay, so now I'm back in the spot. I'm starting to ramble.
It's okay.
So
you're back in Key West.
So I stayed in Key West, and my business just started taking off again.
Right. Everything opened
like
up.
Home base.
Yeah.
I've been DJing in this town for 12 years.
Right. But you also love people, and that's what keeps you sane. Like everyone has their thing that keeps them sane. That keeps you sane. And it's like, you love people. Your career is being around people all the time.
Yeah.
Not this. Like the paying the bill career is people. So it's like, let's do it.
So now that the DJ business, so I stopped doing the bar scene.
Yeah.
So that I could spend more time filming. So I spend all my weekends doing the weddings. And then, so what's the future look like? Well, I'm trying to save up as much as I can because my lady and I are going to be, how can I say this? Within maybe next year, sometime next year, I'm going to be spending more time in Chicago and make that kind of a hub and see where that takes us.
She has these type of documentary.
Yeah. So she has work both here and Chicago. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to be maybe based out of Chicago I'll still have my DJ business down here. I really don't know what I'm going to be doing at that point. It's a year from now. I'm still working on it.
But the van is back. Did I see that?
The van is back.
The van was gone.
Use it for work.
But
so it was being built out.
Right now, it's being built. Now. Okay, so
now I'm starting to confuse the audience.
Not at all. Okay. I'm going to bring us all back. Okay. So when Scott first said, "I'm out of here. I'm getting rid of all my junk. I'm going to go in the van." You got Dr. Dre building out the van or whatever his name was.
It's
who was his name?
Afro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Afro builds out the van. Perfect. But he built out the van for single Scott. There was a single Scott van.
Yes.
Now there's a lady involved.
Yeah. So my girlfriend.
It can't be all ghetto in there.
Yeah.
For you, it was ghetto.
It was great. It was fantastic.
Right.
Wires everywhere. It was. Things didn't work all the time, but you kick it right and it works.
Got to be a little classier.
Yeah, so then I just started to talk about it with my girlfriend, Samantha, who loves to travel but never spent any time in a van like that.
Right.
And so I'm like, all right, well, let's start this fresh. And I ended up giving it to my buddy who is a boat builder. His name's Stephen King, and he's just a really talented boat builder in town. I just gave him a piece of paper and I said, these are my needs.
Yeah.
And he got it done.
I need a shower. I need a toilet. I need a bed.
So anyways, so the idea is to be in Chicago. The idea was to go and ship it to Portugal and do a whole film series out there. But it's just, life is so uncertain. I don't know what could happen next with things. And I think until my series or some kind of, maybe have like a sponsor who really like appreciates what I'm doing and wants to back it.
Yeah.
It gives me like the ability to go overseas without working.
Right.
So, I will be working on like some kind of sponsorship program where I actually believe in the person or the product. But I am trying to get like crowdfunding, which is just really hard. And it's hard for me to turn this into can I ask you for some cash?
Yeah, it's
but I have to. Like, I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars, not in just actual money.
Yeah.
And now we're talking time. Well, I mean, at this point, time.
It's irrelevant. You're too deep now, Scott.
It took me way too long to do the last video. It's just not something you can even put a dollar amount on. But I still want to have a future where I'm not like slaving for cash. So of course I have to keep working while I'm making videos. So anyways, the future of this series. My gosh, I'm rambling.
You're not.
This one.
This is people want to know.
This is where my brain is at with it. It's just there's so many opportunities, but
you are allowed to say I don't know.
Well, no, but I kind of have expressed this many times. Is I want to put more time in front of the camera. Or more time with the camera and less time DJing.
Right.
And I just want to take a risk and spend like 6 months on as little money as possible. Kind of like what I did in 2020.
Yeah.
But I want to give it another go with a little bit more knowledge.
Yeah.
And so, when I go to Chicago, maybe I won't, I'll be specific with the gigs I want to do. Like maybe just a warehouse party, where I'm doing just like some disco all night long. I don't know what it is, but I want to start meeting people who really know how to work a camera.
Yeah.
And I want to put myself in front of them and say, all right, can I do something to help you better your video?
Did any
your film
thought come into trying to do work within the film industry? And not like not like motion picture, but more like Discovery Channel or like any of that.
That conversation with myself has come here and there.
Gone.
I kind of like the PBS kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I like I want this cross between like maybe because I just don't know that industry well enough, but I just want to hold my truth together, and I don't want to get stuck into like, now you're in front of the camera, this is what needs to be said.
Right.
But I really admire what Mike Rowe is doing, who is most famously known for Deadliest Catch, and what he's doing is he's promoting like the working class, the blue class.
Right. Blue collar mentality. He is like making that. He's just like he's promoting that, and I think that what's so great about him is he took a film series that made him really famous, and on top of that, now he's promoting what he believes in, which is like
just make the working class, appreciate it again. Like people have forgotten that it's cool to be a welder.
Right.
Like come on, be a 12 in Key West, be a 12-volt electrician, like working boats all day. It's crazy how much help that they need. So I think that whatever film series or wherever direction I'm going into, I want to back some kind of mission. And that will be like, I know when we first started talking, it was the mental health conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't feel like there's plenty of people who are really good at that. And so I'm wondering if it's more of just like the art of communication. Like I'm just that guy. Let's just be neighbors again.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's going to look like, but I just want to continue learning about people. And I'm really fascinated with the commercial fishing industry. And I'm hoping that I can spend more time just like devoting time on boats to learn about, because I think our seafood, food on land is just really fascinating. And so if I can find somebody who can help me just work a series of commercial fishing boats for 6 months and not have to worry about the bills.
Yeah.
If Discovery wants to do that with me, that's cool.
Right. I mean, just like there's a lot of comedians that will put out their hour special that they produce themselves on YouTube, and then that gets picked up by Netflix. I just think we're going more in that direction, because I think that if I'm an executive at a new streaming company and this person who has traction already and is putting out quality stuff that I can see, they want less risk. Yeah. And that's a lot less risk to go, perfect. Yeah. We got a winner here already. Yeah. Can we just buy the rights to this and put it on there? And then we want more of this from you. That's a lot easier to swallow than somebody that has never done this before.
Well, I 100% believe in Once a Stranger. I think it's a really cool title for something. Like I've had, ideas of turning it into a documentary like 10 years from now. Yeah. Taking all snippets and maybe even reintroducing like, what are these people doing now? I don't know. There's something about the phrase Once a Stranger that I think, so many people talk to others. You do it. A lot of people do it. But just using the term Once a Stranger, it wakes you up like, oh yeah. So this person was somebody I once never knew, and now I do. So I have to go out to meet people in order to have friends.
Yeah. If you think about the most impactful people in your entire life that you're the closest to, they were strangers at one point.
Exactly. Everybody was a stranger at one point. So it just hones in on the thing that connection needs to exist for us to be our best selves. So let's go out there and meet people,
I like it. We may have to put that as the beginning intro instead of the stick out the ass, but probably not. Probably not. So tell me, like, what else? What do you want? What do you want to have happen with all of this that you're doing? Besides, like, let's be selfish here. The altruistic stuff, put it aside. What do you want to have happen from this? Would you love to have your own show on a network? Would you love for your show to get the recognition that it needs and to have enough income to pay your bills from it? Like, what does the selfish you want? Which is okay. This is a negative to want things that you're doing that are positive. Like, we know that you're adding value from the work that you do. We know that it's changing people in a positive way. We know that it's connecting people and doing things like that. Like, I'll use me, for example. What would I want to do from the art gallery? I would love to have 4 galleries in different parts of the country that when I'm older with my wife, we can go and travel to.
Ooh, that's a cool idea.
I'd love to be able to do all custom work where in those cities that I'm going to, I'm meeting different people that want me to photograph their homes or landmarks or businesses. And then I'm turning that into art. So it's one of a kind stuff for them and have other people do the stretching and the printing and the stuff I love to do now, but I know in 15 years I will want to do.
Yeah.
That's my selfish goal for that, because it would be cool to go into my older years, maybe in an RV with my wife, traveling around to cities that I love.
Yeah.
So now I've given you enough time here to figure it out for you. And listen, I'm prefacing it again because you're a person who is doing so much good for people that I almost feel like you think it's wrong to say I deserve certain things, or not deserve, that you would like certain things to happen, but it's okay. And I want that to come out.
Yeah, that does hold some truth.
Yeah.
And partly why I like, standing behind the camera more, because I want to give that other person more attention. I want to leave a mark similar to people like Anthony Bourdain or Mr. Rogers or, Mike Rowe, people like Mr. Rogers growing up and then having Anthony Bourdain, like going into my 20s and stuff. Like those people are those who will forever have an impact on society that, the people who live in the bad parts of town aren't all bad people, because look at what they actually provide for each other. Like, we have to see that.
Yeah.
I'm going to show it to you.
Yeah.
Or how Mr. Rogers, there was something about like a black man was in the same show with him.
Yeah.
A very, very long time ago when that kind of stuff didn't exist.
Right.
But to him, he's just tying his shoe and saying, howdy, neighbor.
Yeah.
Like, none of that, like, we all bleed red.
Yeah.
We all go through the same struggles. I want people to see my videos, and this is my responsibility too, to keep up with that theme, to show that emotion. I want people to see what I have done, and if I need to be an example for them to get out of bed or to not be afraid of opening, the conversation with somebody, I want that video or an example that maybe I have made in the video as a stepping stone to what maybe they can do to better connect with their people. And we're just talking like your next door neighbors.
Right.
Open the door for people.
But
whatever.
if you could do that full time, would you want to do that as your full-time career?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing about that too is if I could make it my full-time career, now I can let the DJ see. It's always like DJing is an art form for me.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
It's what I've been doing my entire life.
Yeah.
It's an art.
Yeah.
But I turned it into a business.
Right.
So there's a lot of time where I just don't have that creative outlet anymore, but I have to make it a business. So my videos are my creative outlet. How cool would it be if I can just go back and forth? Right. Now my videos, I'm still firing out creativity, but now I have a producer or somebody who's helping me with this. But now I can throw, I can take this party scene, different parts of the country, to a full moon party. Right. And
you can mix the two together.
I 100% believe that there is some ability that DJ and video have that can help me take this to different places. But it's a lot of grinding. And I would love to just stop for a little bit and like pitch ideas. And maybe I should do that. I don't know. But I also want to keep making videos. Yeah. So, where do I, this summer I have like maybe 2 weddings for the next 3 months. So, I'm going to spend a lot of time, like, just pitching the idea to myself. Yeah. And if I can put together something that's good enough to show the world, I will. But in the meantime, I find something that sparks my interest and I'm going to go film it.
Yeah. So you could put together like a Facebook group or something like that, or a WhatsApp, or just with your closest people that you want to pitch these ideas to, like 3 or 4, and put them in there. It could be a WhatsApp. Yeah. Group chat. So you're pitching it to yourself as phase 1, and then pitching it to those people who are going to give you loving feedback as your part 2.
Yeah, that's a thought.
Not like a Facebook group where like strangers are coming in. I'm talking like...
Yeah, but people who are close to you are always... Well, I guess it depends.
No, you need to have people who are close enough to you where they know that they can give you, hey, Scott, that sucks. And you're not going to be pissed off about it. You're going to be like, hey, this is the purpose of this group, is that I know that you're giving me feedback in a loving way, not in a jealous or demeaning or whatever vindictive way. It's like coming from, and those people on the other side, it's like easier for you to ask for feedback from people than it is for people to give it. See, they're the real people who have to be able to go, look, this is why I feel this. And you have to be okay telling the truth, and you have to be okay hearing it. And that's a dance in and of itself to find those right people.
I think that I still need to do a little soul searching.
Yeah.
I think the problem that I have with that is there's just so many interesting stories. Like I'd love to do one on the Cuban, the chugs, the immigrants that come in through, those little, for those of you who maybe don't know, a Cuban chug is just a derelict boat that just happens to have the ability to make it 90 miles across the ocean.
They tie four oars together.
It's absolutely insane. These people are willing to risk their entire lives. I have a couple little videos on my socials, but they're willing to risk their lives for a better one here. Like that is just completely blows my mind. And I would love to find a way to like go to Cuba and we would have an agreement that, hey, this won't be produced until you are safe in America. If you even become safe, who knows what's going to happen.
Right.
But I'm so interested in just understanding your choices, and I need people to see that.
Yeah.
People need to see you're not just an immigrant, an illegal immigrant,
because they land here on the beaches, people listening.
Yeah. So they land on the beaches.
Like for everyone here listening, it's not just like a story that you hear. Like I'll be driving on my scooter and see the police there, and they just arrived like on the beach at Smathers Beach.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And so what happens is they just come here, they beach themselves, and then either they get taken to Homestead and they get processed, and they either get to stay here or they get to leave. But the fact when you call them illegal immigrants, there's already like a negative connotation.
Right.
Just like if you say an invasive species, that bird isn't looking to hurt you. They're not like the invasive makes them seem like, oh, they're dangerous. They shouldn't be here. Well, they're just a bird living, the human, of course there's going to be bad people who are going to cross over. But if there's like, I don't know, there's got to be some connection that we form, whether or not it's legal. We need to have compassion. There's plenty of people who do, but there's also people who are just so, baffled because they don't have this situation in our lives. I guess what I'm trying to say is we just need, I just want to film this so that we can all have more compassion. And I can understand it better too.
Yeah.
But to do a story out there is like, it could be dangerous.
Yeah.
It could be completely it could be dangerous for both parties. I don't know what could happen, but I guess what I'm getting at is there's just so many stories out there that I want to film that I don't want to stop to think about the pitch. There's already the shrimp boat thing that I'm hoping to do in a couple of weeks. And that's going to be a whole nother month of work for me. Yeah. So when do I stop doing it? I don't know, man. It's just,
it sounds like you have so many stories you want to tell.
That's my overthinking.
That unfortunately you have to
take a break.
Or you also have to pick which ones.
And so that's the
pursue.
direction. Like, what direction am I going into? Like what I was saying about the commercial fishing is that would be a dedicated at least a year.
Yeah.
I say 6 months, but it would take a year to finish that.
Right.
And so now who am I? I'm the commercial fishing guy for the next year. I guess that's okay. If I had a couple of people who were making these videos for me, I would be on those boats, send them the footage. They put it out a week later. I'm already in Alaska doing something else. Or now I'm in Vietnam showing you what it's like. Let's talk about the shrimp imports of the Southeast Asian countries. Like that is just absolutely what's going on there is terrible.
Yeah.
We need to start buying more of our U.S. caught fish or shrimp, wild caught shrimp. So if I had like the ability to go to just different places and just shoot them the footage over there and then they can edit it, I could put out a whole fishing series episode, a whole series out in like 2 months.
Right, but you have to shoot it and then like we talked about
all that kind of stuff. So then what happens is like I just become confused. like, oh, the street performer, and now I did a street photographer. Okay, now am I supposed to do like follow that lead? Am I supposed to do
But
like
I don't
Subway?
think that's confusing. Like Bourdain talked about food, but in a millions
But it was
of different.
always, but it was always food.
Yeah, but
So
yours is
you get a
connection.
stick.
Yours is connection. Human
Yeah.
connection.
I feel like it needs to be tighter than that.
It may be. It may be. But it doesn't need to be tighter where you just say, forget it.
Yeah, of course not.
Right? It needs to be, okay, I guess I'm the fish guy for like the next 6 months.
And so do you watch Peter Santinello? There's a guy that he just uses a GoPro, and he goes to all these different places around the country and just films a conversation, but always activities going. There's always movement,
Right.
Which is really important in video. There's not a sit down.
Not like
Even though this is very
is a
interesting,
sit-down.
right? So this is fantastic. This is a lot of fun to watch, right? For the longest time, and I'm really glad he told us this because I was starting to get bummed out. Like, how is he doing this, man?
Yeah.
Come on, give us your secrets. It wasn't until like 2 years ago that he finally had his wife and somebody just recently come in and do all of his edits. And I was like,
Yeah.
congratulations. You
Yeah.
deserve that.
Yeah.
But man, I can't keep up with you.
Yeah.
And I like what you're doing is what I want to do.
Right.
But it took him like 10 years.
Right.
I'm cool with the time.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm in no rush.
Right.
You know, but the thing is, he'll do a series, like he's doing a series on cowboys and farming, like just a rancher's life and immigrants. And he's like going from Texas to Alaska. For the next 3 months, it's all cowboys and ranchers. I think maybe a month. I don't know. But what I'm getting at is that he's that guy, the cowboys and ranchers guy for the next month or two, maybe
Right.
3. Well, he's doing the Amish one. He was the Amish guy for the next 2 months.
Right. But you don't look at that guy as pigeonholed in one another.
But the trick is he was able to knock out all of that content quick enough to where we don't trademark him as the Amish guy or the rancher guy because he knocked out an Amish video every single week for only 2 months instead of someone like me who
6 months for
it's going
what?
to come in like, oh, what's my next video is going to be maybe 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now. Who knows what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But it's but somebody told me I'm always filming characters. I seem to always be drawn to characters. So whatever. That's for now. It is what it is.
Maybe. What do you think about, for the time being, not being having your videos be more raw?
So that's another thought I have is remove the formal documentary filmmaker kind of stuff because that's just not going to do anything good for me.
Right.
It was very interesting and I loved it. But to take 3 months, and there's other reasons why it took me 3 months too. But the last one that I just put out, which is hanging out with the street photographer who I met at a subway platform last year, who I just struck up a conversation with because I thought he was a cool dude. We stayed in touch, and I went back up to Chicago, and I filmed him as a street photographer for the day. Took me 2 days to edit, and then bada bing, it's out.
Yeah.
And I really liked that video.
Yeah. Maybe more of that.
It's a lot of fun. I just spent, literally, it was just a day of 2 dudes having a good time. He was doing what he was good at. I was doing what I'm good at. And we just made a video out of it. And who knows what the views are at right now? They weren't very big.
Yeah. But I think it's more of that.
Just pushing out good, fun. Like, I think it's important to make a balance between what you enjoy doing and what your audience wants. I think. Maybe.
Yeah, but you think of it like this. So 10 years goes by, you put out 2 videos a year, or you put out 20 videos a year at the end of 10 years. I say the same thing to artists. People who are artists are out there. I say, listen, you have to find a way, whether it's you do an original oil and you pay to do G-Glaze done. You can't sit there and go, awesome, I sell 1 painting every other month, so I sell 6 a year, or if I sell 200 a month, at the end of the year, we're getting close to 3,000 people that know about the art.
Yeah.
That's branding.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
And that's a resale, that's a sharing, that's all those different things.
Yeah, I mean, it's you never know what is going to happen next, like what video is really going to do it for you. And it's, I much rather, to be honest with you, I think I really enjoy like building like really cool looks in the video and like all the different, but if I could just have a GoPro
Right.
and just have a conversation with people with the GoPro, I'd be cool with that. But I don't think I'd watch it. I watch what Peter Santinello does with his Amish and the ranchers and all these different people he films. But he does it because he's really, really good at interviewing people and vetting the people who he visits. You know, he has a team. He has 2 people who help him like field the people that he wants to interview. And for him, he's been doing this for so long, he just knows how to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
I'm still an amateur at interviewing.
I think if you had a balance of both, if you had, okay, you're going to, and I don't want to say bare minimum, but to the bare minimum of your standards, do the editing and the post-production to get it where you want. So instead of it taking 3 months, maybe it just takes you 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, yeah, and plus it would be much better for my personal life as well.
Probably, yeah.
My girlfriend would love to see, she had a big thing that said Will Soto's video with the checkbox next to it. And she, like, we had like a celebratorial check mark.
It was like a huge Sharpie that she checked the box.
It was on a big dry erase, and I went, shh, and that was it. And then I just parked it in my hard drive, my vault.
Yeah.
Once I can put a video into the vault, it's like you've just sent your child to college. That's it.
Yeah.
They're going to figure it out now.
More balance, I think.
You do have to, more balance. 100%. Oh, it's always a challenge.
Your girlfriend gave me like $20 before you showed up. She's like, hey, listen, push this balance thing. Well, yeah, here's $20.
It's a difficult balance because you're feeding, you have that desire to feed the beast. And what happens is it gets, the whole dopamine levels of getting the comments and the likes and the blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that the addiction that people have of checking their social media, everybody talks about it.
Yeah.
And in the creator world, it's, I think, a little bit like it's exacerbated because you're always, well, at least for me, because I have a goal that I'm trying to reach, you know, so not
But your goal is to put out quality content.
Correct.
So then just do that.
Yeah. This is probably what we talked about last time.
Yeah. We talk about this every time because we all go through it, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. And people do need to be reminded, even like the most successful creators are still like having to deal with their own anxieties of the and all of us are. You kidding me? This is a whole nother podcast about the anxieties of our futures.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Golly. But,
all right.
I thought, I wasn't sure what we were going to get into.
No, I mean,
what time are we at?
We're at the hour 30.
Holy cannoli.
Yeah. I mean, no Joe Rogan 3 hours, but hour 30 is good.
So now is the time we get a cigar and back some tequila.
Now we hit the tequila and you tell people where they could find out more information about you. YouTube. Let's start with that.
Okay, so we're closing out with all the show notes, as you like to call it. Or you'll put it in the show notes.
I'll put it in the show notes.
That's right. I like the word show notes.
Yeah.
That's a cool term.
Yeah. I didn't make it up. I stole it. But Tim Ferriss says that all the time, so I stole it from it.
So we're going to go back to where you can find all of my work.
Yes.
Well, the most work the stuff that I really value is and like proud of is on YouTube. So if you type in Scott Gerke, last name Gerke.
Spell it, please. Thank you.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah.
Or if you look up Scott Key West, I'm actually like that term comes up, Scott Key West.
Good.
You'll see all my work. I just have videos about all those people that I find interesting. And then Instagram, Scott C. Gerke. So that's the letter C as in Charlie. Just look up Scott Key West and you'll figure it out. It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah,
Facebook, I'm on there. TikTok, I'm not because...
Come on, dude.
No, what happened was I had all these videos and stuff and I changed over my phone for whatever reason. I don't know. I can't like retrieve my profile anymore because I don't have any information connected to it. Like my email or phone number or anything, so I don't know how to get back into my account. And I haven't like asked them for any help.
But do you have a lot of videos on there?
I have like 50 maybe.
Do you want to get back in there?
Whatever.
Then
Why not?
do a whole new one.
Maybe. I'll figure it out. I want to stick to YouTube.
I know, but I'm telling you,
really want to. I know I got to do TikTok.
You don't need to do it. All you need to do is just take little tiny pieces of what you're already doing.
I know.
There's no work. For you, there's no work. For everyone else, there's lots of work. For you, take this little piece.
Who wants to get hired for nothing to help do this?
I don't know about
and
it.
And then if you want to hire me to be like to DJ an event of yours, so another thing that I'm working on next year is becoming more of a destination. I mean, I know I'm already a destination DJ in Key West, but for others, I wanted to be able to have a compact system where I can travel all over the country or world for people and then take that opportunity and time. And I've already told people this, to take that opportunity to go film somebody in that city. And now I've gotten paid for work.
Right. You paid to get there.
Exactly. So now I can spend a little time. And I've told couples about that. So my couples who may be listening, some of them are starting to work and try to help me figure that out.
Or some bridesmaids that are there that are now going to be brides.
Exactly.
Hire you up.
But, or if there's anybody who just has listened to this and kind of have been able to resonate and understand the situation I'm in, maybe be able to help me.
Yeah.
Could provide some kind of opportunity that allows me to film the shrimp or the commercial fish.
Yeah. If there are people out there that are just getting into this, but maybe throughout college or have their own passion of doing post-production and production and want to jump on board to the future somebody or love this kind of work, that they should reach out to you. Should they email you or DM you?
They can email me. I think the old school way of email is pretty cool. I'm not really, let's go with the email.
Okay.
ScottGerke@gmail.com. It'll be in the show notes.
Be in there.
Or if anybody would like to sponsor who really just believes in the project.
Got a Venmo we could put in the show notes?
Let's figure that out.
Put that Venmo in
the Venmo. I do have 2 people now who are monetary or monthly subscribers who give me money every month.
Like
2 people.
Like what's that service up? Patronage?
Oh, it's Patreon. It's like Patreon, but I just don't want somebody to be in control of my income.
Right.
I want to be in control of it in case they flop or want more money.
Right.
Jack from Mangoes.
Nice. Shout out to Jack.
Yeah,
from Mangoes.
Jack. Thanks, dude. That was a recent one. And then somebody else from Philadelphia. So Ramon, if you're listening to this in Pennsylvania, he's been a long time since, like 2 years.
Wow.
Monthly subscriber.
That's great.
So that's number 2.
2. All right. We need about 200 more, everybody. Bring it on.
Maybe I'll do Patreon because I can see that being a little bit better for me, but then it's just more stuff. But
yeah, on your Patreon page, you're just going to have all the raw video.
Correct.
So when they want to go and they want to watch your 15-minute video, it's going to be 150 hours.
Or it could be the Patreon could be this live version of the podcast if you would be okay with it.
Totally.
Like something like
Any
more
way
raw.
I like it.
Yeah.
We're kicking it around.
I know that I got to take you out to dinner sometime or to lunch and we'll just shoot the crap.
Thank you. I don't have to edit that out for the radio.
You don't have to put the E.
Yeah, right. I don't have to have it just go beep. I don't like doing that.
I don't know. I just talk about this kind of stuff and it just goes back and forth. I believe in it. That's where I'm at. I believe in it.
I think just as much humanly content as you can put out so that you don't go crazy and your girlfriend doesn't kill you. Those are the 2.
Yeah. And stories too. If anybody's got stories, that's a hard one to vet.
Yeah.
But if you have anything that you can share with me, that's, I don't know. It's whenever I put those out there, it does get a little bit hectic with.
Yeah. Someone's like my grandmother's a shoemaker and that may not be the most exciting thing. And how do you tell that your grandmother isn't good for the show?
I mean, and she is. She's fantastic for the show, but it's just not like, there's not something possible there. We'll stick with how
about this? Send the messages to Scott.
Yeah.
He may not be able to get back to you right away because he's busy going through the thousands of emails that come in and the 500 million hours of video.
And thanking all the people who are now supporting the channel.
So please be patient with him. But just know that if you don't get an answer back within a month, then it's probably a no-go.
We'll see, but I'm keep trucking, and yes, we'll have another conversation to see where everything's at the moment. But
just
there's something about the commercial fishing. I'm just so fascinated. I think something's going to happen with that.
Yeah,
I want to go to Nicaragua and actually film the where our mahi comes from, or Peru. Like our mahi comes from a different country. It doesn't come from here. I want that. I want to talk about that because I think it's so fascinating. Or how our lobster, 90% of it goes to China.
Yeah.
We had so much other stuff that we'll have to come back and talk about some what I've learned from other people. But our food is fascinating, and we absolutely need to get more connected with it. I'm cool with being that guy. I'll be the food connector.
Right. But I mean, now that's something
people.
That's something that people can get behind you, like different non-for-profit organizations that have a lot of profit. They'd be happy to help sponsor you to tell that story. So
maybe I'll go ahead with that one. We'll see.
Yeah, that may be a good route to go because especially right now, the hot buttons of food and environment are so polarizing that people may want to push you to tell that story.
Yeah. All right. We'll leave it at that.
That's how we end it, baby.
All right.
Now I get to put that sticker right back up there. We'll end it like we started.
Oh, okay, Mark. Well, thank you.
All right, my friend. Yeah, thanks, brother. Talk to you later.
See ya.
To listen to any of our previous episodes, visit us at backyardsofkeywest.com. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share the show with your friends.